Question number 5. You are stating that family is the second most important priority in your life after God. What does family have to do with the future success of the United States? What does family have to do with the future success of the United States? The strength of the family is the strength of the nation. What I mean is every nation throughout history, and the fall of the Roman Empire documents this well. Historians have documented it well, that it was the breakdown of the family that was one of the 5 greatest contributing factors to her decline. It cannot be ignored. It is a principle, it's a law of nature. So it's not something that we debate. It's just kind of, here's what it is. We can choose to do something about it or let it go and just go ahead and decline. I'm on the side of I want to do something about it and I want to fix it. And I believe that the fix starts with me. I believe that I have to have my family life in order. I believe that we have to set an example. I don't believe I have to force my family values on anybody else, but I do believe I have to live them. I have to believe that I can set the example, because I do believe everything rises and falls on leadership. You can't, it's not do as I say, don't do as I do. I've made the mistakes. I know how devastating broken families are. I know what it does to the children. I know what it does to the parents. I know the pain that most people never, ever heal from. No matter what they say, no matter what they post on social media, they wear it. It's in their face. It's in their wrinkles. It's in their bitterness. It's in their the edge that kind of comes on the tip of their words. It's something that hardly ever leaves an individual. It's that destructive, and it wreaks havoc on a nation. It wreaks havoc on your commerce and your GDP. You know, it's interesting. Whenever I work with companies, and I would go into a company as CEO to turn it around or work with them in some capacity, most of the time I would go in and I'd be talking to the senior executives, and whatever the business problem was we were trying to fix, I would go around and say, well, how would you solve it? How would you solve it? How would you solve it? And what I found, without fail, was that some of the best and brightest ideas, the way to solve the problem was already in the room. So what was preventing it? Let me tell you. Most of the business problems in America aren't business problems. They are personal problems of someone in leadership at that company. You heard me right. Many of the business problems, they blame it on the business environment, they blame it on the economy, they blame it on the stock market, they blame it on consumer interest and consumer spending, they blame it on a whole lot of things. But you know why I never bought that? Because every time, take any industry, and the industry as a whole could be in a slump, but there was always a handful of companies in that same industry that were thriving, which means it can't be just because of this, because there are some that are doing great in spite of that. What I always found was it was actually personal problems, because when things aren't right at home, you're going to have a hard time making the best decisions at work. That's just the way life and family is made. That is the law of nature, recognizing the value of family. But when family is strong, when it is united, when it is wholesome and healthy, everyone in the family flourishes. The kids at school, the parents at work, the nation at large. I remember some people who were raising chickens, and we were trying to separate their chickens from everybody else that was raising chickens. And we started talking about, well, what makes your chickens different? And they said, well, we feed them better food. Well, what good does that do? And well, their surroundings are nicer. My chickens aren't as stressed out. I said, okay, so your chickens are happier. And so happier chickens produce better eggs. They taste better. They're just happy. They're not born out of stress. And that's the same way it is with families. You're not as creative. You're not as vibrant about life to have ideas and to be bold and to take action when things aren't right at home. So yes, family is important. And it's worth getting that right before you get your income right, and before you get your job right, and before you get anything else right. Get your home right. Get your family right. Have a close relationship with your children and your parents, and with your relatives. Invest in family. It's worth it. And it's critical to the United States of America. By the way, we are the most independent nation on earth when it comes to family. And that's not a good thing. Most cultures, the ones that have lasted thousands of years, not, the one that's 247 years old, the cultures that have lasted thousands of years are the best at having close families. And they understand the danger of a lot of the Western philosophy of independence. It actually destroys wealth of a family because think about it. Mom and dad buy a house, they work, Junior grows up, goes to college, gets a job. He buys a house and 2 cars. Mom and dad have a house and 2 cars. And then all the siblings have a house and 2 cars. Well, that's not the way most places do it because everybody has to have their own independence. But then you're taking money that could have been, if it was consolidated, you'd be able to have a multi-million-dollar business. Instead, you're all just each trying to survive and barely pay the bills for your own house and your own cars and your own duplication of everything. Like no company would run that way. But yet we've somehow bought into the idea that that's how our families are supposed to run. It's a very bad economic model for you and for me, but it's great for those who want to control us. So yeah, family is important. We would not have the incarceration rates that we have if there was a loving father and mother in the home. We would not have the drug use. We would not have the fentanyl use. We would not have the mental illness. We would not have the suicides. Ladies and gentlemen, we would not have the mass shootings that we have from young people who are confused if they had a strong mother and father and a loving home. We just wouldn't have, it would not be the same. And so, yes, I want to strengthen America's families, and I believe it is in our national security and our economic best interest to do so. Next question, number 6.